So Congress would not be Congress unless they found ways to waste everyone's time doing absolutely pointless votes on things that don't matter at all. So what Congress decided to do this week was propose two pointless resolutions. Resolutions that don't change anyone's lives, resolutions that don't actually fix or prevent anything from happening. They're basically PR stunts to say, hey, look at me. I'm virtue signaling to you. I don't like this bad thing, one or two. The two resolutions were one by Chuck Schumer, which hasn't been voted on yet, but it's going to be voted on soon, which is Chuck Schumer wants to condemn Nick Fuentes, a private citizen who has a show. That's his top priority, is getting people in Congress to condemn him. What will that do? Nothing. Nick will still have a show. Nick can still say whatever the hell he wants, and it doesn't change a thing. The other proposal by Republicans, which has passed, has already been voted on because Republicans were like, oh, Chuck Schumer, I see you doing that, and I'm going to one-up you. They decided to do a vote condemning socialism. Again, this does not change anything. If mayors and states want to practice socialist policies, they can pass laws and do that. This doesn't prevent that from happening. It's a PR stunt. All this is. It's so pointless. Both sides complained about the government shutdown and how they can't get anything done to help the American people. The left blamed the right, saying the right doesn't want to get anything done. The right blamed the left, saying they're preventing the government from being open to prevent us from getting anything done. And yet both sides' top priorities are resolutions that don't do a thing. So we're going to dive in to the first one, which is Chuck Schumer talking about his resolution.
And finally, on anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism in America has reached a dangerous
I do have it sped
tipping
up a
point.
little bit. If you can sound
Jewish
good.
Americans are facing threats, harassment, and violence at levels we have not seen in generations. And as I have said many times in this chamber, anti-Semitism is the canary in the coal mine. Where there's anti-Semitism, there lurks white supremacy and other pernicious forms of hate. Well, 3 days ago, the President of the United States declined to condemn Nick Fuentes' hateful views and defended Tucker Carlson's decision to give Fuentes a platform. The President was asked about his thoughts on the interview. He declined to condemn Nick Fuentes. That is disgusting. For Donald Trump to excuse and protect the spread of Nick Fuentes' ideology confirms what many of us have long said. White supremacy and anti-Semitism are taking deep roots, unfortunately, within the Republican Party. Just as we saw from the leaked texts of young Republicans, just as we saw from text messages of administration officials, the Nick Fuentes saga on the right reveals that anti-Semitism and white supremacy have been growing with disturbing currency within the right wing and within the right wing of the Republican Party. But I know this is not true of everyone on the Republican side, especially not for many Republicans in this chamber. Therefore, I will soon lead a resolution here in the Senate rejecting Nick Fuentes and his white supremacist views, condemning Carlson's platforming of hate, and condemning anti-Semitism and white supremacy wherever and whenever it occurs. In the coming days, I will work to grow support for my resolution so the Senate can take a clear stand against hatred and anti-Semitism. I hope my Republican colleagues will join me in this effort and co-sponsor this resolution. Calling out anti-Semitism should not be a partisan issue. In fact, when we refuse to condemn anti-Semitism, when we stay silent and fail to reject anti-Semitic rhetoric, when we normalize hateful figures spewing disgusting anti-Semitism, that is when anti-Semitism spreads throughout society like a poisonous wildfire. Americans don't want to see that happen, so my resolution will give every single senator, a chance to make an important stand against hatred. The country must see us unite.
So yeah, this was absolutely pointless. So let's break this down a little bit. So first, the main reason he's bringing this up is because Trump made a comment on it. And basically Trump said Tucker can have whoever he wants on his platform. And then he said, I don't know Nick Fuentes that well, which I think he's only met him once and they probably didn't talk that much, right? You have dinner with someone one time, you're not going to know their whole life story and everything they've ever tweeted, right? So Trump believes in freedom of speech and said Tucker can post whoever he wants. And it's really crazy how ever since Tucker hosted Nick Fuentes, which Tucker did push back on Nick Fuentes multiple times, especially with Jewish stuff, that people have been blowing up. Like Randy Fine made the Tucker is not MAGA signs. Ben Shapiro made a whole video with no ads. That's when you know he takes it serious. Condemning Nick and Tucker, calling Tucker a dangerous anti-Semite just because he hosted Nick Fuentes. It's absolutely insane. And now Chuck Schumer made it to the Senate floor and said, oh, we need to condemn this ideology and condemn people like Nick and Tucker. The thing is, what you're doing, Chuck Schumer, is just making Nick Fuentes' platform larger. He already had a platform, so saying Tucker platformed him is dumb. Nick has a million followers on Twitter. He has like 500 some thousand on Rumble, which, that's a website people don't use that often to show how loyal his following is, and he's only growing bigger and bigger. He's banned off YouTube. He's already had a huge platform. He's been on like the Dave Smith show. He's been on PBD. He's been doing his rounds right around conservative media. Tucker is the largest platform out of all of them. But Tucker did give pushback when he wanted. But the thing is, like, a lot of the stuff Nick says, this is the way the left works. You say one bad thing one time that nobody agrees with, right? So then every view you ever have for the rest of time should be condemned too. It makes no sense at all. You can agree with someone on some things and disagree with them on some things, right? But with the left, you have to have this cult-like mentality where you all group think and think exactly the same thing about everything. And if you don't, you're shunned from society. It's insane. And this is such a waste of time because, again, Nick can still talk. Nick can still say things. This does not change a thing. And honestly, just to screw Chuck Schumer, I hope he keeps getting bigger because Nick does say some truthful things. And it's really funny, and I think it'll show from these votings which one people are paid by AIPAC and which aren't, right? Because we have 500, if you count Senate and Congress, there's 530 some people, and I think 400 are bought by AIPAC. So I think this will be really telling who votes yes or no. Because in reality, like I said, you can disagree with something Nick says. You can say Nick goes too far, says some no words that you don't like. But it doesn't mean he doesn't say factual things about other things, right? You can say both is true. And I think it's just really insane, honestly, how far this whole thing has gotten. And Chuck Schumer is just wasting everyone's time here with this resolution to condemn a private citizen from saying things. Like, it's absolutely pointless. And then we go on to the Republicans, who aren't doing much better, put a resolution out to condemn socialism. Let's take a listen.
Just showing this from the Hill right now. This is a measure to condemn socialism. The vote is still being tabulated, but of note, the 4 leading Democrats in the House voted with Republicans to condemn socialism, yet 96 Democrats voted no. Mm-hmm. So those are the Democrats who voted with Republicans: Jeffries and Catherine Clark, Pete Aguilar and Ted Lieu. So that vote is in, and the big meeting happens in a couple hours.
Again, this vote right here, where the Democratic Party split, does not do a thing. They can still, cities if they want, states if they want to have put up socialist policies, they can. This does not do anything. This is a waste of time, waste of everyone's time, resources. Ink on the pen to write this down or type it, whatever you want to call it, is a waste of time. And I'm so sick of these like PR stunts in politics like that happen like this. Just do something that you think can help the American people put up to a vote. Put some bill out there that you think would actually help the American people, because this doesn't. This doesn't help at all. Saying, oh, anti-Semitism everywhere. Let's condemn Nick Fuentes. And then, oh, Trump should have condemned him. Trump is probably the most pro-Jewish president we've had in decades. Almost too pro-Israel and for a lot of our liking, right? He will do anything for Netanyahu. Some people say he works for Netanyahu. It's definitely too far sometimes. So to sit here and like cry about him not condemning Nick Fuentes is absolutely insane, because again, at the end of the day, he believes in freedom of speech. And it's stupid. And another thing too, if you want to talk about anti-Semitism, Chuck Schumer, you should look at your own side of the aisle. Do you remember all the people on your side praising Hamas? People refusing to vote for Kamala Harris because they loved Hamas so much? Like, that's more anti-Semitic than stuff people on the right are doing, right? The people on the right are saying some no words in text messages and making dark jokes. Meanwhile, your side is literally praising terrorist groups. Like, look at your own side of the aisle first before you go attacking like the Republicans or like 20-year-olds for what they text and say. It's insane. This is something that, like, I guess it's just the way society is now. Social media, these people want clicks, they want attention. And I will say too, Chuck Schumer in this case too, I think Chuck Schumer is really worried about losing his Senate seat because he doesn't want to retire. I don't know if I think his seat comes up next year, 2026. I think. I'm not 100% sure. But current polling shows that if AOC ran for Senate of New York, she would take his spot and he would get voted out in the primary. I think he's worried about that. And I think he's doing anything he can to try to get out there and act like he cares to keep his spot. And I don't think it's going to work. He can try. I just don't think it's going to work. Let me know what you guys think about this absolutely pointless resolutions these both parties passed. If you think that they are going to amount to anything. I personally think Nick Fuentes is going to keep growing bigger and bigger. And I think Chuck Schumer really just helped him out there, which was stupid on his part. Like, if you condemn someone so much and you hate what he says so much, why would you bring him to a national level like that? There's probably people watching you who probably didn't even know who Nick Fuentes was and now went and looked him up. You probably just created more Nick Fuentes fans doing that. It's so stupid. Like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then the whole Republicans condemning socialism. Okay, we all know every Republican doesn't like socialism. You didn't need to do a whole vote to show that. Like, it's so stupid. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Like, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. Thank you for watching.